The top 10 center fielders in Major League Baseball for 2024. We have our two honorable mentions. We have the top 10. And as always, you can follow along on the article, which you can find in the episode description. If you are watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We got more top 10s coming. We also have an interview with a certain pitcher that will be on the top 10 pitchers list that's coming out on Friday. So make sure you like this video, subscribe, and set alerts on for future videos. But everybody listening, you can find the article to follow along in the description. Our two honorable mentions. Number one, TJ Friedl of the Cincinnati Reds. Jack, I feel bad because I know a lot of Reds fans and they have been screaming for DJ Friedl to make our top 10 list. Shout out Clay Snowden. Shout out Reds Nation. Unfortunately, he is on the outside looking in, but he did hit 279, 352, 467 slash, 18 bombs, 27 stolen bases, WRC plus at 116, seventh best among primary center fielders. And his 4.4 F-WAR was tied with James Outman for the third best mark in Major League Baseball, trailing only Julio Rodriguez and Luis Robert. But there's some quality of contact concerns.
Frankly, don't care. Center field is the one place that the Reds didn't have a top prospect in the last few years debut. They have answers at, first base even, right? When you factor in Christian Encarnacion Strand, they've got an answer at second base in Matt McLain. They got an answer at short in Ellie. They got an answer at third in Noel V. Marte. They've got an answer on the hill, right? You've seen Green, Lodolo, Ashcraft, Abbott all graduate. You got Chase Petty not far behind. You got Connor Phillips close to graduating. It's ridiculous. Rhett Lauder just looked strong in his first spring training outing. And then Spencer Steer hops in left. Okay, great. Will Benson, who you acquire from the Guardians, looks great in right. The two places that they didn't have an answer are catcher and center field. You needed one of those two to step up. Thank God, because Tyler Stevenson wasn't good. TJ Friedl was awesome. Are there worries about how he can replicate? Yeah, for sure. Does he put up another 4.5 win season? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. I don't think any of TJ Friedl's family will tell you that, for sure, this guy's a 4.5 win player in 2024. But what we can say is this guy's going to give you top flight defense. He is going to hit enough, and he's going to be a great piece at the top of the order if the young guys are struggling, or he's going to be the best 7 hitter in baseball, 8 hitter in baseball. And we're not asking questions about TJ Friedl. There's nobody really coming down the pipe. If Arroyo looks ready, if a Cam Collier looks ready in a couple of years, maybe you experiment with McLain in center. But as of right now, the Reds found their plug-and-play guy in center.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to put it, right? Just because he doesn't make the top 10 center fielders list doesn't mean he's not a good center fielder, right? I think my area for concern, right, if we're going to bring down Cody Bellinger, we should also probably talk about CJ Friedl, right? We talk about the difference between ex-WOBA and WOBA, and he had a 353 WOBA, which was clearly a career high, but he had a 289 ex-WOBA. That was towards the right? We can even look at what percentile that puts him in on Baseball Savant. That puts him in the 11th percentile, right? Which grades your quality of contact. So I think with TJ Friedl, what Reds fans should expect, I wouldn't expect the 18 home runs, right? But I can still expect good defense. I can still expect great base running, right? Let's say TJ Friedl is a guy, right, 279 last year. Let's say he's hitting 260, 265 with 30 stolen bases, 10 home runs, and good defense. He won't be the 4.4 F-WAR guy, but he could be a 3-win player, and that's still a solid center fielder, right? That would be my projection for TJ Friedl in 2024, and I think that projection aligns with yours. If I gave you TJ Friedl over under 3.0 F-WAR for 2024, where would you go?
Slightly over.
Slightly. Okay.
Slightly. Ever so slightly. I think that's a good number. I do want to dive into the Buxton thing now because I'm glad we didn't spend too much time on it when you did mention that Buxton, Margot could be a safety blanket for Buxton. The plan right now, based on everything that I've read, and Minnesota's got a collection of excellent beat writers. Do Young Park is one of my favorite beat writers that we've got in baseball. Um, the plan is for Buxton to play center. And Javier Reyes sent a good message. He was like, yep, here we go. If Buxton plays center, like we're back to convincing ourselves that he's a 10-win player. For sure. Like I'm going to be guilty of that. I promise. Problem is, like, I think he's out of mulligans. I think he's out of lives. I'm playing connections with Byron Buxton, and like I just blew my third life. And I just have to view him as a guy that is going to play max 110 games. And that sucks.
It sucks because, I mean, who has been driving the Byron Buxton bus on this podcast? It feels like it's been my dumbass all year, every year. Byron Buxton, this talent, you just got to see it. Imagine if he would play 130 games, right? We're not asking for much, but here's the reality. 2018, he played 28 games. 2019, he played 87. 2020, shortened season, played 39. 2021, he played 61. 2022, he played 92. And 2023, he played 85. The only reason he is on the honorable mentions is because he has the talent of a top 5 center fielder. He has the talent of a top 3 center fielder, to be perfectly honest with you. The power, the speed, the defense, hard to find in Major League Baseball that you have with Byron Buxton. But if I'm relying on you to play half the season, you're not going to sniff top 10 lists. I feel like we only
You
put him on the
can't.
honorable mentions just to have the conversation about him again.
It's principle. Yeah, I think we put him on because of principle, but we left him off because of principle. The whole conversation around him is principle, and that sucks.
Like in 2021, I know it's only 61 games, but
39 homers.
he hit 19 home runs in 61 games while putting up 1,000 OPS. Then in 2022, he hit 28 bombs in 92 games. Even
That's right.
last year, he hit
That's right.
17 home runs in 85 games while stealing close to 10 bags. Like if we could just project this over 162, we have a top 5 center fielder. The problem is we haven't been able to project it over 162 since 2016,
So
2017.
that's my favorite thing. You take a guy in garbage time, like Jaden Hardy was this guy for the Dallas Mavericks, where he was killing garbage time. I think it was last year. And like, oh, you take his numbers and you blow him up for 36 minutes. He's the best player in basketball. It's like, oh, okay, we can't do that
We can't.
because like you need to play. But it's fun. It's fun to dream.
And that's why the Twins bring in Manny Margot, right? Because you look at the rest of the outfield, right? You got Kirilloff, who could probably play some first base. He could probably play some outfield. You got Matt Wallner. You got a couple other guys in the fold there in the outfield. But to bring in a guy like Manny Margot is important because you can only assume you're going to get half a season from Byron Buxton. Every game over that is just adding sprinkles to the Sunday. That's really all it is because that's all we can hope for, right? So that's why we mention the move, not just because we're a baseball show, but it is significant for the Twins because they're obviously operating under the assumption that we still cannot trust Byron Buxton to play a full 162. Can we even trust Byron Buxton to play 100 games? And we're saying all these things. Like, you'll never see a podcast root for a guy more than us and Byron Buxton. All we want to do is see you play. You're a freak talent. We just got to see you play if you want to enter
Correct.
the top 10.
Correct.
Think it's time to get in the top 10?
I think so.
And number 10, Jazz Chisholm of the Miami Marlins. Clean sweep here from the Just Baseball folks. Every single one of our panelists had Jazz Chisholm at number 10. I don't know if we've seen a clean sweep so far in our rankings. And just another reminder, if you're following the article, you already know the gist. But for those watching or listening, or you're not much of a reader, we have 6 panelists. Jack, myself, Aram, Ryan Finkelstein, our managing editor, Leo Morgenstern, another editor and writer for justbaseball.com, and Colby Olson, right? And we aggregate.
We're kicking Colby off next year. Like, wait till we get to Riley Green. We're kicking him off.
We might have to kick him off because he ruined some of our rankings. But Jazz Chisholm, we know who he is. I mean, I'm going to read through his stats and I want you to pitch him. I know I'm doing evens, you're doing odds, but I don't really like him. slash 250, 304, 457, 19 home runs, 51 driven in, 22 stolen bases, a 103 WRC plus, 3% above the league average hitter, and put up a 1.9 FWAR. Was not good in the defensive runs saved department, but was in the outs above average, totaling 4. What do you think about Chaz?
First year playing center field, he was legitimately good. I think that's huge.
Okay.
Let's play the Buxton game.
Good at what?
I mean, he put up decent metrics in outs above average, I guess.
He has range. He's fast.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Like, I think Jazz got better. He's not Fernando Tatis. The problem is when we take a supreme athlete and we put him in the outfield, we just immediately measure him next to Fernando Tatis Jr., and that shit doesn't work because he's different. He's one of one. Jazz is a guy that was a really good outfielder that was not great at short, could have been fine at short, was an okay second baseman, but you let those wheels, you let that athleticism play in center field. Like we saw that athleticism, and there really weren't many bonehead plays there at all. The other thing that I kind of want to pitch you on, so like final synopsis of the center field experiment with Jazz Chisholm is year 1 went well. Year 2 may go really well. Offensively, let's play the Buxton game. Per 162, Jazz is giving us 28 homers and 32 backs. He's a 30-30 threat that's going to get better at defense every year. The question is availability, and frankly, he's better than Buxton because he doesn't have as many knocks on his resume as Byron Buxton does.
Yeah, no, I think that's fine. And I ranked him 10 too, so it's not like I'm arguing for him to be off the top 10 list. I understand the talent coming from the power and the speeds department, right? You laid it out. If he plays a full season, we're looking at potentially a 30-30 threat. And I know Jazz himself would tell you he's a 40-40 threat every season. And
Jazz would tell you he's a 70-70 threat.
And that's where my problems come in with Jazz, because his bravado, and I respect an athlete that has a ton of confidence. I think that if you are, the center fielder of the Marlins, if you're the shortstop or whoever, you have to walk onto the field and think to yourself, I'm the best player on this field to get the most out of your abilities, right? You need almost that arrogance about you. And that's fine, right? If you hold it inside, or even if it comes out a little bit, and it's definitely fine when you deserve it. Jazz hasn't earned anything, right? He gets put on the cover of MLB The Show and then turns up this type of season. And he's never really turned a season that makes me think to myself, oh yeah, this guy, I'm fine with him talking the way he does off the field. But then it's even on the field, right? It's a lackadaisical approach. It just pisses me off to watch him play. I mean, that's just where I'm coming from here. The way he acts doesn't match up with the production. And on a team like the Marlins too, like you're drawing attention to yourself when your team's not winning. It just feels like one of those basketball players, to use, your point that you were talking about in other sports, like one of those guys averaging 22 on the worst team in the NBA and then acting as if he's the best when he plays 60% of the season on top of it. It's just like, it doesn't sit right with me. But again, I recognize the talent, and if he plays a full 162, he could be higher than 10.
I totally hear you. I think he still has opportunities for me to walk the walk because he's clearly talking the talk. It's all about walking the walk now. And I think what gets under your skin about him is this guy has not walked the walk yet. He hasn't even started the walk. So like, if he does, that's great. Also, remember when we kind of shit on Ohtani for getting rung up by Garrett Crochet?
Did he hit a homer?
He just went oppo against Dominic Leone. Yeah, 2-run shot in his third AB. Welcome to the Dodgers.
So you're hearing this on Wednesday, February 28th, but on Tuesday, February 27th, that was the last chirp we could get in on him on the season.
Last one.
You had your chance, haters.
Fucking Babe Ruth is immortal again. Who knew?
You have the odds, so number 9 is for you.
I have number 9, and number 9 is Riley Green of the Detroit Tigers. And who knows if Green is going to play center field full time this year? I know that Parker Meadows could be a candidate to play center. They may also experiment with Kerry Carpenter in a corner again if Meadows doesn't seem, big league everyday ready. I'm not sure. Green, we ranked as a center fielder. And this guy was not a great defensive center fielder, -7 defensive runs saved. He was 0 outs above average. He was league average. This guy's value is offensive. And he hit just under 290 in 416 plate appearances. Yeah, he only had 11 homers, but he sprayed doubles. He had a 119 WRC plus. And it feels like the 2.5 win season he put up in Detroit last year is like the low point for a young, really exciting Riley Green. He's 23 years old this year, and he's going to be entering his third year of big league action. We've been high on Riley Green for the last however many years. I know that you were one of the high guys on Green. You had him 8. I had him 11. Arm had him 14 as the low guy. Colby had him 6. We got to boot him. What the
No,
hell,
no, I want
Colby?
to honestly promote Colby after putting him 6. I think I
No,
was the
man.
low guy in the sense of what he could do. He put up a 365 x Woba last year. Do you know who that tied with? Your favorite
No.
player, Austin Riley. He's 23 years old. He could play a solid center field. The quality of contact is fantastic, but it's also the swing, right? Why did you like him in the first place? Because the barrel stays in the zone for about
It's
an
so
hour,
good.
right? He
Yeah.
can go oppo, he can go pull side, he can hit shots to center field. He's 23 years old, and yeah, last year, right? He didn't shock the world. But if this is kind of the low end Riley Green as a 22-year-old who hits close to 300
You're
with
thrilled.
a 119 WRC plus, putting up 2.3 F4 while not even playing the entire season, yeah, I'm going to start to buy in, especially when we know his prospect pedigree coming up was this guy who can spray the ball to all fields, and then he's showing quality of contact, rivaling
Austin Riley.
Austin Riley. I'm getting confused because Riley Green, Austin Riley, and now he's 23. What are we talking about here?
Yeah. Is
I think
Austin
he's
Riley
gonna.
my
I think
favorite player?
I. You love Austin Riley, do you not?
I love him. He probably is. I just can't stomach transitioning from Tim Anderson to Austin Riley yet. Give me like 2 months.
I'll give you 2 months. But you know what I'm saying here? You're
Yeah.
way too low.
Yeah.
Aram is a straight up fraud. What the hell is he
What,
talking
like
about?
he can't really
Aram,
play center, man. I get it.
who told us about Riley Green? I mean,
I
maybe
mean,
not you, but me.
I
You
saw
guys
him in the New
probably told me
York
about.
Penn League.
No, that's why I'm not grouping you in. I'm grouping me in. Aram, you, high guys on Riley Green. Now I put him at 8. You guys put him at 11 and 14. What are we talking about here? He's as good as you guys are saying.
Yeah, he is really solid.
Like
And here's the thing.
Riley Green is so much better than Jazz. Of course he
I don't
is.
know.
Yes. Riley Green's a better defender, I think.
Mm,
Riley Green's a
I
better
don't know
all-around
about that.
hitter,
That's where I push back. That's
3
where I
years
push
younger.
back. Defender, defense is where I push back. Here's the thing, though. As we move forward in this list, like number 8, I looked at 8 and 9 very similarly, and I asked myself who I would rather have in 2024 because that's the game we're playing, right? The top guys for 2024. I'm taking number 8, but I'm incredibly high on number 8, and I'm just so on Riley Green so far.
Yeah, I'm not as high on number 8, but I still do like him. Number 8 on the top 10 center fielders list, James Outman of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Did you know that James Outman put up a 4.4 F4, hit 23 bombs, put up a 118 WRC plus, and was a very good defender in center field? You might not have noticed because there's a lot of Dodgers, there's a lot of names, and then you're like, oh, James Outman's hitting 8th. Maybe this is the break. Nope. 23 bombs with a 353 on base percentage and 16 stolen bases. Now, the reason I had James Outman a little bit lower is it's this roller coaster of a season with this guy. For 1 month, he is going to look like an MVP candidate, and then the next month, he is going to look like he should be on your bench.
Yeah.
That level scares me. Now, when we look at the entire season, the full body of work, we're looking at a better player than what I feel like I saw over the entire season, right? 4.4 F4. In terms of WAR, he was a top 3 center fielder in Major League Baseball last year. And he's young, right? Relatively, right? He's going to be 27.
Yeah, but he enters his second full season of Major League Baseball.
Exactly. I put him 11. because of that roller coaster. I don't know why I put him at 11. I think he's better than Jazz. I think someone misprinted me because I didn't. There's no way I ranked Jazz before James Outman.
I think you put your numbers in the Google sheet.
I don't
It's
think
you.
so. I think someone hacked me because no way I think it. I don't think it. For everybody listening, I don't think it.
Here's what I'm going
Might
to
have been written
say.
down. I disagree with myself.
Here's what I'm going to say to the James Outman haters. You ready? A lot of people are saying, and I've seen a lot of publications do this. I've seen a lot of people that I really like in this space do this. They've called James Outman a regression candidate. How's he going to regress? He had a 32% K rate last year. Like, do you expect him to strike out more? He strikes out all the time. And he was still a 4.5 win player. And he's got more protection in his lineup now. He's not going to see fewer pitches. Like, I don't see a world where this guy is put on a higher pedestal than what he was at points last year. Especially when you have to deal with Ohtani in the lineup every day, and Freddie, who doesn't miss games, and Mookie, who doesn't miss games, and Will Smith, and Teoscar Hernandez, who you just added to the fold, and Max Muncy. There are way too many guys that you circle on the scouting report before James Outman. And if he punches 30% of the time, that's an improvement. He's
Let me
amazing.
let me speak up for those who thinks James Outman is going to
Go
regress
ahead.
because I kind of think it. Not really, and I understand where you're coming from. Like, where is the regression coming from? I'll tell you where I think it might come. There were months, right, in May and June where he put up a 550 OPS. I expect those months to continue because he strikes out so much, right? He gets himself into holes. He gets into these slow streaks of his, right? We don't have a ton of data to build off of, but I watched a ton of Dodgers baseball. There was so many opportunities where James Outman would get blown away by three fastballs and it was just like, say goodnight. He had no chance up there. Now, there were other ABs, right? In April, where he put up a 966 OPS, in July, where he put up a 905 OPS, August, 890. What if all of those hot months aren't as hot? Then he comes back down and doesn't look like the same player offensively. He's still going to play good defense. That's what I'm saying. From a WAR perspective, it's probably not, he's probably going to be a 3.5 win player for a while until he figures out the strikeout stuff. But with so much whiff in his game, I think that those hot months might come down a little bit. And that if he still has this slow streaks, we're not looking at a guy who put up a 790 OPS. Maybe we're looking at a 750 OPS. That's my issue with James Outman.
Okay. I hear you. I don't understand you, but I can be receptive to it.
What about what I said do you think is maybe inaccurate or you just straight up disagree with?
No, I don't straight up disagree with anything. The couple months are really hard to palate. I just don't rookie year, right? You've got a shit. What was it? May and June were his two shit months.
Yeah, I mean, September 772 OPS. No, I mean he had a good second half. He put up an
What was his
850
worst month?
OPS. His worst months were May and June.
May and June. Okay. So the second and third full months of this guy's professional career
As a 26-year-old,
as a 26-year-old.
right? We're not dealing with a raw
No,
22-year-old, right? There's a
no.
reason that he only debuted when he was
Like
26.
this guy's literally going to run out of chance. Like he was running out of chances. He was going to pivot to insurance. I have no idea what he was going to
No,
pivot to,
he
but like
wasn't going to do that.
it's not like he was the guy on the forefront of the Dodgers' thoughts and future plans, right? You have to force your way into the conversation. And in 2021 and 22, James Outman forced his way into the Dodger conversation. In 2023, he gets his full shot. He's great over the first month. What does that buy you? 2 months, apparently, because he sucked in month 2 and 3. If he doesn't perform in July, he's done. Like the story's done.
But that's what we're
But he
risking
bounced
here with
back.
the eighth best center fielder, right? That's why I ranked him 11.
That's the
The
thing.
article says I ranked him, I ranked him 10. The article says 11. He's better than Jazz, even if he fizzles out.
My thought is if he survives that depth and that like I have to go now, he's playing with house money.
Yeah, that's why he's very tough to rank Because realistically, right? Let's say he improves on that year. We're looking at a 5-win player.
We're
Then we're
looking at a
looking at a
top five
top
center
five.
fielder in the game. He's better than
Exactly.
7 for sure.
I mean, think about a player who is on any of these lists who could be top 5 or off the list and off his team. You're shaking your head. It was a big pause for a reason.
Yeah,
You can't.
there's not another.
Number 7.
Number 7 is Jung-Hoo Lee of the San Francisco Giants. And he gets a bump. He was previously 8 because Brandon Nimmo was at 7, but Nimmo pivoted to the corner outfield rankings after we learned that Harrison Bader was going to play center. So the rankings are typically lower on Lee than you would see for a number 7 guy. But Jung-Hoo Lee is number 7 because we think this guy's going to play a really good center field, and the numbers in the KBO were insane. This guy has been an awesome KBO hitter for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Last year in the KBO, in just under 400 plate appearances, he hit just under 320, he had an OBP over 400, and he had a 139 WRC plus. Jung-Hoo Lee has a chance to enter the Juan Arise level of not punching out and not swinging and missing. And if that's the case, and he plays a borderline gold glove defensive center field, we're looking at a top flight elite leadoff hitter in Major League Baseball. And that guy is the 7th best center fielder in Major League Baseball.
I think the Quan comparisons are kind of on the money, right? Like if he is, think about it. If he is Stephen Kwan playing gold glove level center field defense, a lot of people out there love Stephen Kwan already. Where would you rank a guy like that? Now, we're also projecting, right? He's never faced major league competition. To be fair, though, first spring training AB got a single right up the middle.
Nice.
So that's on his docket. But yeah, it's tough to know what we're going to get from a guy. And also, our rankings are all over the place. You and I both have him at 9. Aram does as well. Colby has him 11. Fink has him 13. And Leo has him 8. Right? So we're all over the map. It's tough to know what we're going to get from this guy. Right? He's probably not going to slash 318, 406, 455 in his first season. But if he can put up a 115 WRC plus, hit 290, hit 5 to 10 home runs, steal 10 bases. In his first year, right? We saw what Ha-Seong Kim did in his first year. He was barely in the lineup, right?
Yeah, and you see the upward trajectory there if he gets off on the right foot.
And I think he can. The bat to ball is special, like you said, right? And you can also look on justbaseball.com. Aram wrote up a great preview about Jung-Hoo Lee. You can also watch it in YouTube form on our YouTube page, Aram's breakdown of Jung-Hoo Lee in more detail. But let's move on because, again, we're speculating here. We're guessing. But I think it's a good guess with a guy with a contact rate that high, in-zone contact rate that high, that are rivaling Luis Arraez and Stephen Kwan. Number 6, Cody Bellinger is back with the Chicago Cubs. Dude raked last year. 307, 356, 525 slash, 26 bombs, 20 steals, 134 WRC plus to give himself a 4.1 F4. He's always going to provide value defensively. Walker Buehler came on the show on Monday. If you haven't listened to it yet, go listen to it, saying that Cody could win a gold glove at 4 different positions. I think what he meant by that was if you put him in left field or right field, he'd be an all-world corner outfielder. And he can already be close to winning one in center field or at first base. Probably less likely than most is the position that he's playing the most, but it also is the hardest position to play, but that's more speaking to his athleticism. Now, the quality of contact is what we've talked about a ton, and we don't have to get into that because we already talked about it when he signed the deal and our thoughts on Cody Bellinger moving forward. 3 years, $80 million, but we haven't talked with you yet about the deal, right? You're a Chicago guy. How did it feel to have Cody Bellinger back? And did you think the 1-year deal with options totaling $80 million was the right play for both sides?
At that money, that was the perfect contract because what that says is to the fan base, we're really committed to winning right now, right? We're trying to win the division this year. We're trying to make noise in the postseason this year. And we think the best opportunity to do that is with Cody Bellinger in the lineup every day. What that says moving forward is we still believe we have our franchise cornerstone in center field and Pete Crow Armstrong. If they signed him to a 6-year deal for $180 million or $160 million, and Scott Boras is screwing it right now for his client. Like I typically I stay out of that and I don't want to assume anything when it comes to contract structure. But the more this goes on, the more I think Scott Boras is doing a complete disservice to these four clients. I think that Bellinger got the best that was available for him in the situation that he wanted to be back in the most, and the Cubs didn't hurt anybody's feelings that they were worried about hurting. And I think PCA was a guy they were worried about hurting because you see how good he can be. They also have an interesting decision to make. I think by the end of the year, we're talking about Cody Bellinger as a first baseman. And I think PCA is going to be playing center field. I think Bellinger is going to be playing first. Where's the glaring hole for the Cubs right now? It's third
Third.
base. It's
Yeah.
third base.
Yeah.
Is it Christopher Morel? Is it Nick Madrigal? Morel is going to DH.
How
Is it
much
Morel or Madrigal?
how much longer are we going with Madrigal?
No
Do you
more.
want your
No
third
more.
base to hit 4 home runs?
So here's what I want to happen. I want Michael Busch to play third base. I think Bellinger plays first. And if PCA has a good spring, I think PCA is in center.
And then rounding out the outfield, Happ and Seiya.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good team. Or it's a
Great
pretty good
team.
offense. What do
Steele,
you
Imanaga, Tyon. Like, damn.
Tyon? Tyon, really? No, we
Shit.
can include him. Yeah, Tyon. Why
I
not?
will say, I am a little nervous because it was a 1-year thing for Bellinger. Is he fully back? I don't know.
One thing that I do want to talk about, though, with Bellinger, right? We're talking about the quality of contact concerns. Could we give him some credit for this? 15.6% strikeout rate, lowest of his career,
He
lower
was,
than his MVP year, never punching out. And I did see a change of approach just watching Cody Bellinger, right? I remember there was this series against the Blue Jays where he was going off, but it wasn't just he was hitting middle fastballs or he was hitting, hanging breaking balls. These were balls at the dirt. These were balls at the roof, right? And just to avoid striking out. And he was making decent contact with these in order to get base hits. Now, will some of them not land? Sure. But is he going to make enough contact for his speed to start being a factor here? I think so, right? So it's like, yes, he's making less quality of contact, but he's also making more contact. And it's not like he's some twig, right? The EVs are still solid.
no,
So if he's
and
not
he's still at
striking out,
26.
exactly. If he's not striking out at all, maybe the power goes down a little bit, but I think we can kind of pencil him in right now for 290 to 300. Maybe I'll be wrong about that, but I feel okay saying it.
I was never expecting Cody Bellinger to flirt with 300 again, and he hit
Exactly.
307 last year.
Don't you think that's
Here's
the
the-
part that won't really change? It's more the maybe the doubles or the home runs that maybe
Maybe,
take a
but
step down a little
dude,
bit.
I don't even think the homers changed that much because, like,
He's
he's
still going to
playing
piss
in,
on some balls.
and he's playing in a place that it's like pretty easy to get a ball up at the jet stream and watch go.
Yeah, but you mentioned all these red starting pitchers. Maybe he's facing some tougher competition.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
I forgot about the red starting rotation.
That's
Good
what
point.
ex-WOBA deals with, right? Your level of competition from the Reds.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, let's jump into the top 5 here, but before that, one more quick break. Number 5 is Money Mike, Michael Harris, the second of the Atlanta Braves, and we have entered a new echelon in star power. Michael Harris is going to be 23 years old for the entirety of this coming season. Michael Harris got off to a terrible start to the year, brutal start to the year. And then he was one of the best offensive center fielders in baseball the back half of the season. He finished the year hitting 293 with a slug just under 480. He had 18 homers. He swiped 20 bags. He had a 115 WRC plus, and he is maybe the best defensive center fielder in all of baseball. So it all results in a 4-win player, even after a terrible start. If this guy doesn't look like he can't hit water if he fell out of a boat for 2 months to open the year, I mean, we're talking about this guy as a 5.5-win player, and maybe better than Mike Trout on this list, like as Trout was unavailable. Michael Harris, it feels like we just saw the sophomore slump from him. And if that's the case, I'm so excited for this cat's career. I know if Austin Riley's my favorite player, this might turn into a Braves show, which is crazy for everybody listening because everybody thinks we hate the Atlanta Braves.
I
I don't
know.
know why.
I don't know
I
why either.
love I love watching them play. If Austin Riley's my favorite player, I think Michael Harris is Arm's favorite player. And man, like he is must watch at all times. And you were actually one of the three high guys. I had him at five, Arm had him at five, Fink had him at six, but then you, Leo, and Kobe had him at four.
You're calling Arm's favorite player Michael Harris. Why is he not my favorite player? I'm the high guy.
Sorry.
No, I'm just
Sorry.
kidding. No, but think about it. Would you rather have Michael Harris in 2024 or Luis Robert? I would rather have Michael Harris. And the reason, right? Luis Robert is coming off this amazing season, but we know what Luis Robert is, right? Do we not know what he is? When he's on the field, he's supremely talented. So now it's like, well, he did play a full season. He's going to do it again. Like, yeah, we can assume that. And the counting numbers might be a little gaudier, but on a day in, day out basis, I'd rather have Michael Harris. He's the better defender. He makes more contact than Luis Robert does. I just think he's a better overall baseball player, right? 18 home runs and 20 stolen bases. And that's coming in a season where, to your point, he was terrible in the first half. In the second half, 325, 356, 522 slash line to give him an 878 OPS. And in his first year as a 21-year-old, almost hit 300 and put up an 853 OPS. So if he doesn't have a bad 2 months, we're looking at, again, another guy putting up an 850 OPS while being one of the best defenders in center field. I mean, this guy has to be number four. He's going to be 23 years old.
So do me a favor, give me the pitch on number four, and then I want to compare these two as the exercise with both of them.
Let's do it. Number 4, Luis Robert Jr. of the Chicago White Sox. Hit 264, 315, 542. Power is the name of the game for Luis Robert, but he also has speed. 38 bombs, 20 stolen bases, a 128 WRC plus, and was one of only a few center fielders to put up a 5-win season. And he was great defensively by the metrics, putting up 13 outs above average and 6 defensive runs saved.
So, what about those numbers makes you think that Michael Harris is better?
The thing is, it's not about last year's numbers for Luis Robert. That's the point, right? Because
It's
this
about
list,
availability. Okay.
it's about availability. And like, I'm never doubting the talent that is Luis Robert. I think Luis Robert is more talented than Michael Harris. Let's get that straight out of the way. I think Luis Robert, from a power and a speed, and he's also a great defender.
He's an elite defender. That's the thing that
Agreed.
goes. I don't even think it flies under the radar. It's just we've already stamped Michael Harris as an elite defensive center fielder. And Luis Robert, we look at this slugger that had 38 homers last year. We forget just how elite a defensive center fielder he is.
100%. And I think you saw the numbers from last year. You've seen Michael Harris. You've seen those numbers as well. Do you think that Michael Harris and Luis Robert are not at least on the same tier of defensive acumen in center field?
I think they're in the same tier.
So
I
if we
think they
can
are.
both agree on that, and we can also agree that Michael Harris has been much more available, right? Because now do I put Luis Robert over when he played 145 games when in the last 3 years he hasn't reached 100, right? 98 games in 2022, 68 in 2021, and he played the full shortened season. But he also, when he played 98 games in 2022, put up a 745 OPS. Like Michael Harris entered the league as a 21-year-old, put up an 855 OPS. Then as a 22-year-old, struggled in 2 months, which lowered his overall averages, but then
Yeah.
still finished with an 800 OPS. Like he's too good and well-rounded and available for me to now say, all right, Luis Robert had that season where we all expected because he has a talent. Now he's above him. I can't do it.
So we just agreed that they are in the same conversation defensively, right? Those two are in the same class defensively. Michael Harris is never going to give me 38 homers. Like that's the big separator for me. Luis Robert had 38 homers. If it was 30, I'm receptive to this conversation. But it wasn't 30. It was 38. And
It
he
is
puts on a monster show. And here's the thing, man. Like Luis Roberts built like Julio Jones at his prime. Like he's built like Falcons Julio. He's built like a freak. I'll take the alien over the guy that is a really, really great center fielder.
Name me something offensively that Luis Robert does better than Michael Harris besides home runs.
I mean, overall power. I think power
Yeah,
is a
power. He has
huge
more
part.
power.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it, right?
They
Because
both
I
they
have the guy
both
getting
chase,
on base
but like
more.
what else offensively?
I have the guy getting
Eh,
on base more.
look at
Yeah,
walk rate. Look at walk
okay.
rate.
He put up a 315 OBP, Jack. Michael Harris put up a 353 OBP.
Yeah, but Michael Harris was also 20 points higher in the batting average department. What's Michael
Exactly.
Harris's walk rate?
I think he's a better all around hitter. But
What's
let's
his
look
walk rate?
Michael Harris's walk rate. I just have Luis Roberts here in front of me, which is 5%.
Yes. What's Michael Harris?
Let me pull it up for you. What I can also say is that Michael Harris has 10% lower strikeout rate, right? So he strikes out far fewer times than Luis Robert does. And they both have the same walk rate. Michael Harris, 4.6%.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I don't view it as a massive difference in the OBP department when they're walking the same.
But
Like
do you
that's a
understand what we're
batting
doing?
average thing.
But do you understand what we're doing? We're comparing a 22-year-old to a 26-year-old, and the 26-year-old just had his best year, where the 22-year-old has been doing it since he was 21. Now he's 23. Like, what do we think he's going to do now, right?
I
That's what I'm
think
saying. Like, if we're looking at an 840 OPS year over year for Michael Harris, he already put up an 850 as a 21-year-old. If he could do that year over year with 2020 and great defense and playing every day, I'd rather have that guy on my team than the guy who can hit some more home runs when he's on the field, be more talented but less available.
but Luis Robert gave me an 860 OPS. He gave me a very similar number of stolen bases and a high efficiency. He was 20 for 24. He
He's done it
gave me
once.
38 pumps, which I'm gonna end. Okay, but you're acting like 26 is 30 for the case of the argument. 26 years old and 30 years old are so different. And here's the thing. Where we're disagreeing right now, and we just haven't said it yet, is I think this guy's going to play a whole year again.
Yeah.
You are baking in that you don't think he's going to play a whole year again.
I just
If
can't.
this guy
How can
plays
I?
a whole year, and I get that,
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm not going to assume that he's going to get hurt. And if he plays a whole year again, this guy's a 40 homer threat. The other guy isn't. And the guy that's a 40 homer threat put up noticeably better advanced metrics defensively than the other one did. I think they are in the same class defensively, but the numbers are the numbers, and the numbers are far better for Luis Robert than they were for Michael Harris. So I lean on the defensive excellence and the threat for 40 homers. That's where I stand.
And I lean on, I think the defensive numbers, while they were better for Luis Robert, I still view them as similar defenders. And now you could disagree with me, but at the same time, Michael Harris put up better defensive numbers in his first year. So I still view them as same levels of defender in terms of talent. And then on offense, I agree with you. Luis Robert is more talented. The thing is, I don't know if he's going to be on the field every day, right? And Michael Harris,
Yeah.
now to it's not like Michael Harris is a playing 162 every day, but in his first two seasons, he played over 110 games. Luis Robert
No.
has done that once, and they have 4 years of difference. That's my point. Is when I go to the ballpark every day and I have Michael Harris on my team versus Luis Robert on my team, I think I have a better chance to win over 162 with Michael Harris in 2024.
And I disagree, and we can leave it at that, and we can move on.
Perfect.
All
Your
right.
odds, though. This hurts.
This really hurts. And like we've totally entered a new threshold here. We just talked about how elite Michael Harris and Luis Robert are, but like these guys are a different beast. And it sucks that one of them had to be three, and it sucked that this guy in particular had to be number three. But number three is Mike Trout of the LA Angels. And that pains us to say, but he's going to be 32 years old. He was limited to just over 350 plate appearances last year. And frankly, he wasn't that good. He was a 3-win player, obviously, like wasn't that good, relatively speaking. He still put up a 134 WRC plus, but his 860 OPS was chump change based on what he's done previously in his career. This guy's 858 OPS season plummeted his career OPS under 1,000. He's down to a 994 career OPS, which is one of the best marks in baseball history. This guy's career slash line right now is 301, 412, 582. That's a 994 OPS. You average out his 162 game average. The stolen bases are gone entirely, but they do bake into his 162 game average. This guy's walking more than 100 times, 34 doubles, 40 homers, 102 driven in, 22 backs. He is the best player of this generation. But we've seen, do you want to call it the aging process or
I guess
chronically unavailable?
no, I think the aging process is a better way to describe him because, right, he comes up in 2011, you know, cup of coffee. 2012, 139, 2013, 157, 2014, 157, 2015, 159, 2016, 159. In 2017, he's still playing over 100 games, but ever since 2021, 36 games, 119 games, 82. And we know about the back issue. So I think that's the aging process.
I think it is.
And it sucks because the guy hit 40 jacks 2022 in 119 games. With a
Nobody
1,000
does that.
OPS.
You're not supposed to do that.
I mean, still Mike Trout.
I've
And
got
yeah,
yeah, I've got nothing to
this
add. He's Mike Trout. It's just like the other two guys might be starting their Hall of Fame career right
I
now.
agree. And it's like, it's so funny. He's still graded out as like a positive defender. Like, I love Mike
Yeah, and
Trout.
we're talking about moving him to right.
I
It's like
know.
it's not
It's
because of skill, it's because we want him to play 150.
like this season sucked for him. 263, 367, 490 with a 134 WRC plus.
Yeah,
That sucked
sucked.
for Mike Trout.
He's got multiple 10-win seasons. I think
And
Babe Ruth might be the only guy with multiple 10-win seasons. There's got to be another
Mantle
guy.
definitely did.
Does Mickey Mantle have multiple 10-win seasons?
Got to. He
I'd
was like,
assume
he was
Bonds got
boozing.
close.
He was boozing and getting fellatio in the stands and putting up
That's the
10 win
thing, man.
seasons.
I forgot about the BJs. Like, good
Yeah.
for Mickey Mantle.
Imagine that coming out these days with Twitter, right? You see
Miserable.
miserable. Do you think people would be pro or anti if
Anti.
they heard about it? I don't know.
Anti.
I don't know. Number 2, Julio Rodriguez of the Seattle Mariners. Freak of nature. 275, 333, 485 slash line. 5-win season, 32 bombs, 37 stolen bases, 12 outs above average in center field because the guy can go and get it. Did you see where one person on our panel ranked him?
Yes.
Leo Morgenstern ranked him number 1. We're going to get to number 1. You can't rank him number 1. But they both play in the same league, and I would not be surprised at all if our number 2 guy in Julio Rodriguez won the MVP. Spoiler alert, he might be my MVP pick for 2024. And the reason behind it is I can guarantee great defense in center field. I can guarantee the speed. I can guarantee the power. It's just, how is his plate discipline looking that day? Is he trying to be too aggressive? Is he not? Because when Julio is in his zones, this guy has the opportunity to hit 300 with 35 bombs and 40 stolen bases, get on base at a good clip. Julio Rodriguez is this very similar age to Michael Harris. I mean, he is a freak. And what always just blows my mind, Jack, is the fact that he was not considered to be a, 1, good defender in the minor leagues, 2, fast.
Right.
And now he's arguably the fastest and the best defender. I mean, what a transformation for this guy. I mean, Seattle really does have their next Ken Griffey Jr. Now, is he going to be as good as Ken Griffey? Probably not, because few players in MLB history are. But if we're looking at cornerstones of an organization, Ken Griffey was that guy. Julio Rodriguez is now that guy.
So there were 87 games that J-Rod played before the All-Star break, and there were 68 games that J-Rod played after the All-Star break. And we were talking about Julio before the break, saying, like, are we sure this guy's an all-star? He was named an alternate at the very last moment, I think. Like, he kind of backdoored his way into the all-star game in his home city. Put on a show in the Derby, loved that. But after that long week, this guy in 87 games before the all-star break hit under 250, hit 249 with a 721 OPS. In 68 games after the all-star break, J-Rod hit 308 with a 941 OPS. 19 of his 32 homers came in the 68 games after the All-Star break. He swiped 15 bags in 20 attempts. He is next level, man. Like he needed that second half so badly because if he didn't get it and he just kind of held serve and like, hey, maybe he upgraded and had like an 820 OPS after the All-Star break. We're talking about this guy off a sophomore slump, and there's no way we're putting him in the same breath as Trout. Like we're probably talking about this guy similarly to how we talked about Luis Robert and Michael Harris. But he elevated himself from tier two to tier one, and that's still a great player, might I add. He elevated himself from tier two to tier one because of what he did after the break last year. And this guy's ability to do that. And from what I've heard from him this February, he seems pissed off. Seems like he's ready to go. Man, I wouldn't be shocked if he took home his first MVP this year.
23 years old.
He's amazing.
He's amazing.
He's amazing.
Number one?
Number one, the best center fielder in baseball is Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees. It's Aaron Judge. He broke Roger Maris's home run record in the American League in 2022. He was hurt for a good bit in 2023. Like, God damn it, you outfield wall in Los Angeles. He still had 37 homers and a 174 WRC plus and a 5.5 win season. He's flawless. He was the best right fielder in baseball. And then he moved to center. So we got to figure out somewhere to put him. He's the Mookie Betts of the outfield. Like he's number one wherever. And I guess Betts went from 2-1, right? Moving from a corner outfield spot to second base. Like Acuna was going to be one over Mookie, I think. But Judge is one wherever he is, man.
I'm going to tell you something, and then I want to provide context to it after. Aaron Judge is the best Yankee since 2005 to 2007 Alex Rodriguez. In 2005 to 2007, Alex Rodriguez won multiple MVPs. I'm pretty sure. Let me just fact check that. Yep, MVP in 2003 with Texas, MVP 2005 with the Yankees, and MVP in 2007 with the Yankees. The Yankees have had clearly great players. Derek Jeter is a more accomplished baseball player than Alex Rodriguez is or Aaron Judge is. I'm talking about with my own eyes, watching Yankee games, Aaron Judge is the best. You talked about breaking Roger Maris's record. But even last season, when he goes down with the toe injury, right? So that's why he didn't play a full season, and that's why people give Aaron Judge shit, right? Because it's hard to guarantee health. But at the same time, I think that the health issue for Judge is completely overblown. If you take out 2020, he's played 100 games in every season outside of 2016 when he's a rookie, right? These guys come up. But first full season until now, he's played 100 games in every season. And over the last few seasons, he has taken power to the nth degree. He is the number one power hitter in Major League Baseball. We talk about ex-Wobble, right? We talk about your quality of contact. There's a consistent leader. Aaron Judge, year over year over year. He hit 37 bombs in 106 games last year, right? Remember when we were marveling over the fact that Trout had 40 and 119?
Yeah.
We're not really marveling over that for Judge because he's 6'7", 270 pounds, behemoth. But the fact that Aaron Judge, and the reason I say he's the best, not the most accomplished Yankee, but the best, the fact that he can play such great defensive right field, most underrated part of Aaron Judge's game is that he is one of the best defensive right fielders in baseball, and he can slide over to center because he's so damn athletic, right? It's not showing up in the stolen base departments with his speed, but when I watch him, he's still a good base runner. He's a great defender, and he's arguably the best hitter in the sport. When you are making a ranking of players, Shohei Ohtani is one, and I think Aaron Judge is two.
Oh, I've got Acuna on line one.
It's fine. But Acuna is a really, really bad defender, right?
Yeah,
We're
because
talking
he
about
doesn't give a
all-around
shit.
games. So
Right.
Ron Acuna Jr. went 40-70, right, in 2023. Aaron Judge broke Roger Maris's record with 62 home runs in 2022. And may I remind you that Aaron Judge in 2022 had a higher F-WAR than Ronald Acuna Jr. So because
And he was
Ronald
hitting
Acuna
leadoff.
Jr. did it last year, he is now better? when in that year of 2023, Judge had 1,000 OPS with 37 home runs.
So I dove a little bit deeper into the A-Rod comp. 3-year stretch for A-Rod, 05 to 07. He slashed 309, 412, 593. That's a 1005 OPS for 160. Let's do season average, right? He was playing 158 games, 46 homers, 136 driven in. Aaron Judge had a higher OPS. Slug puts him over the top. He's slugged 615 from the start of 2021. Since the start of the 2021 season, Aaron Judge slashing 291, 402, 615, 1017 OPS, averaging 137 games, so 20 fewer games a year. Yet, while A-Rod was putting up 46 and 136, Judge is putting up 46 and 101. So he's got the same average homers per year that A-Rod had. The big difference is A-Rod was swiping bags and he was playing short. Judge has played right and center. Regardless, we're talking about the Yankee captain.
The captain, the second best player in Major League Baseball.
Third best.
I'd rather
Peter's
take
top
Judge.
100. I'm ready for Peter's top 100.
You're ready for
I'm
my
ready.
top 100, right? Because let's do a quick pull up Acuna's, pull up his Fangraphs.
Those Fangraphs.
Just want to look at
Acuna.
the last 2 seasons in terms of WAR.
I mean, he was coming off that ACL tear, and he was just
True.
not good in 2022. I want to be fair with that.
Do you know what FWAR Judge put up in 2022?
He had an 11-win season, did he not?
11.6. You know what
Yeah.
Acuna put up last year? 8.3.
8.3.
I mean, what are we talking about here? 3 wins better. He was Ron Acuna Jr.
We're talking about a 40-70 season. That's what we're talking about here. You can't say, what are we talking about here? And then not expect a
Judge
rebuttal.
put up a 62-16 season. I mean,
I forgot about the 60-15 club.
Judge put up a 209 WRC plus compared to Acuna at 170.
How many stolen
There are
bases?
levels to this shit, Braves fans. Judge is number 1. Toddy's 1. Judge is number 2.
1961 Roger Maris. A 162 WRC plus.
Judgy shits on that kid.
No bags.
No bags. No speed. Judge stole 16 bases. Ladies and gentlemen, when you are, what's his quality of contact? Let's look it up. Judge is 1. How many homers? Judge is 1. You like homers, right? You like Luis Robert? Judge hit 62 of them in 2022, and then hit 39 or 37, whatever the fuck, in 2023 at 100 games. This is the premier. This is the man. This is the best player in baseball if Ohtani didn't pitch. Right, but he does. And Ohtani is fast. We cannot forget that. You knew that, right?
Yes. Just
Okay.
plug the merch, bro.
All right.
Hilarious.
Go, everybody listening. If you're a Braves fan, I just shouted out Michael Harris. So don't say now I'm a hater. You can't pick and choose. You can pick and choose the merch, though, in the episode description. Let's call it a truce, and let's both wear some Just Baseball merch. You know I'm wearing mine.
No, I hate the company. I've got the mic flag. You can't buy the mic flag.
That's true. I can't buy the mic flag. Go get yours in the episode
That hat
description.
looks like shit. Get a better looking hat.
I know. Yours won't look like this. Mine has been absolutely destroyed. I've worn it literally everywhere. This is what it'll look like after 3 years of use if you're chucking it everywhere. It's not going to end up being a good looking hat. But don't be like me and don't be like Jack and not getting it. Try yours in the episode description. Rate and review, 5 stars. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Please, come on. We'd really, really appreciate it. It helps the show. And I sound sarcastic. I'm not. It genuinely helps our show. If you enjoyed the episode, please, it takes 3 seconds. Go on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Just put in a 5-star review. And if you would be so kind, leave a written one as well. You know what to do on YouTube. The big red subscribe button, the like button, the comment button, the share button, the turn notifications on button. There's so many buttons, but it only takes about 5 seconds to click each one, maybe less. Do it. Appreciate you all listening. Big episode Friday. I'm not going to leak the guy who we got on the interview, but he's a pitcher and he's really good. American League. Hint. American League Central. All right. We'll see you on Friday. And with that,